So you guys know how picky I can be with foods and how I often have weird little food aversions, and I have problems with a lot of like vegetables, particularly more bitter ones like kale and Swiss chard. Even broccoli, I much prefer it mixed in with other stuff or made into like a broccoli soup, which pretty much completely removes the bitter. For me, that's absolutely delicious. So I wanted to see if any of my issues stem from being a super taster, and I wanted to test my partner and toddler as well, since toddler is also a very picky eater. So super taster is exactly what it sounds like. It means someone who can taste good, can taste better than the average population, or is more sensitive to certain tastes than the average population. Supposedly it's like 25 to 30% are super tasters, and then like 50% are kind of in the middle, and then the other like 25% are non-tasters. I couldn't find any like evidence for that. It's just kind of quoted. Anything that you read about super taster, it's like 25 to 30% or whatever, but I don't know exactly where that comes from, but I have seen that a lot of teachers who test their class, they say that usually that's about the percentage that they get. Typically it's around a third or less of people are super tasters. To be clear, this isn't an exact science or anything. It's not like every single person who tests positive, quote unquote, and I'll get to the testing in a minute, is going to have the exact same tastes as another person who tests positive for super tasting. Typically, it's said that a super taster will be more sensitive to, again, bitter things like kale, Swiss chard, broccoli, spinach, stuff like that, coffee even, more sensitive than a medium taster and obviously a non-taster. I've also seen it said that super tasters can be more sensitive to fatty stuff, more sensitive to sweet stuff as well, and also that they may be into saltier foods because salt can help to mask the bitterness of certain foods. But that doesn't mean that if you are a super taster that you are going to hate kale or broccoli or anything like that. You can find a lot of people who are like, yeah, it seems I'm a super taster, but I love broccoli, or it seems like I'm a super taster, but like I eat sweet foods all day long. But because of these certain qualities that super tasters are supposed to have or tend to have, it's been kind of hypothesized that, well, they may be more likely to be picky eaters, right, to not eat certain vegetables, but also that it could be that they have lower BMIs, possibly because they aren't eating a lot of fatty foods, they aren't eating a lot of sugary foods. In terms of studies, quite a few studies have been done on super tasters, non-tasters, that sort of thing. A very interesting one on the mother's taste preferences and their children's risk for like dental cavities, for tooth decay. They found that the mothers who were not super tasters, that their children, their toddlers, had a significantly greater chance of having tooth decay. In this study, in this kind of buffet setting, they found that the women who were non-tasters and medium tasters ended up eating more fat and more overall calories than the super taster women. This really interesting study on metabolic syndrome and dietary intake, they looked at super taster and also sweet liker, and they found that those who were either a super taster or a sweet liker, they seem to have a decreased risk of having metabolic syndrome compared with those who have a combination of the two. So they're a super taster and a sweet taster, or those who were part of neither group. This study found that super tasters were more likely to have lower BMIs. So yeah, there's quite a few studies, including this recent one looking at non-taster and super tasters and low carb versus low fat diet. They're all pretty small. They're not conclusive or anything like that, but they are pretty interesting. So now to the fun part. Well, first, how do you tell if you are a super taster? There are a couple of ways. There's the magnifying glass food dye kind of way, where you literally take food coloring and put it in your mouth, and then with a magnifying glass you try to count the number of kind of taste buds, the number of papillae. Is that how you say it? And if you have over a certain number, then you are probably a super taster. The much more fun way to do it is to buy these little papers. They're super cheap. You get 1 million of them, so you can share them with your friends. It's PCT paper, PCT test paper. There's also prop, which essentially does the same thing. Basically, you put this in your mouth, and if you taste bitter, so it tastes nasty, then you're probably a super taster. Now, again, it's not an exact science. A medium taster, from what I've read, will taste something, but it's not going to be like the worst thing that they've ever tasted, right? Whereas some people, like some super tasters, I've read from people whose like science teachers got them and gave it out to the class. This is a common thing. If you go to the Amazon reviews, it's like 90% teachers buying it for their class, you know. But I've read from people saying, yeah, like some of the kids in my class were like vomiting and retching, like they could not handle it at all, right? Whereas then there are people who are like, I don't taste anything. It just tastes like paper. So I have tried this. My partner's tried it as well. And we did also give it to Toddler to try. And I guess I'll just try it again. I mean, you can already tell from my reaction. So the interesting thing to me is that both my partner and myself had a reaction, but very different reactions. So his reaction was much, much slower. It was a slow build for him. And then it lasted for a really long time. Like he had trouble getting the taste out of his mouth. Whereas for me, as soon as I put it on my tongue, I taste it just immediately. It's almost like not even a taste. It's more of like just a feeling. Like if you can just get the feeling of bitterness, like that's what it is. And it's just immediately like, bleh. And then I take it out and yeah, it's pretty much gone. But it's not like the worst thing ever. I mean, reading that some people were like vomiting. No, I'm nowhere close to that. I don't think my partner was anywhere close to that either. I want to see how long I can actually like keep this on my tongue. Why am I moving it? I mean, I can hold it there without dying, but I'd rather not. Well, now it's lasting. I mean, oh no! V8 strawberry banana to the rescue. Man, I almost wish I'd put this on my top 10. This is like such a delicious, accidentally vegan food, drink. It's so dang good. Point is, I'm an idiot. Don't... If you've already done it, don't do it again. Jesus Christ, how many times have I done it now? So maybe that's what my partner did. Maybe they just held it in their mouth. I mean, you can see the first time I did it, I think it was there for like half a second. And I was like, nope. So maybe that's why it lasted so long for them. Because that wasn't going away. Once you leave it in there for a few seconds, it's going to stay for a little bit. Like I said, we gave it to Toddler as well. Toddler had no reaction. They just looked at us like, why are you putting paper in my mouth? What's happening? What? They were just very confused, but they didn't react like it was bitter at all. And I asked them what they tasted and they like didn't understand the question. Again, they're little kids, so, you know, maybe they did actually taste bitter, but I think they would have reacted. I think they would have been pretty pissed off if they actually tasted it. But yeah, so that was pretty interesting. I expected, especially after partner and I tried it and we were obviously like, oh, nasty. I expected them to have like a pretty big reaction, but nope. But after I thought about it a bit, maybe I'm not so surprised. And again, this isn't an exact science, you know, but I do seem to have like very severe, not really severe, but more intense reactions to certain foods that they're like, yeah, whatever, this is delicious. Like I talked about in my worst foods, the Ripple yogurt, which I find very, very bitter. The Ripple milk as well, the same kind of thing. And my partner too had the same exact reaction. And it's not just bitter, it's also this weird like thing on our tongues. Maybe that's a super taster thing. Maybe that's something that a lot of people can't taste. Something that maybe Toddler just cannot taste at all. So to them, it's just creamy, delicious milk. The same with the pigless pork chips or whatever that I said were so incredibly bitter. But my toddler was like, yeah, this is fine. The same with coffee. Of course, I love my coffee, but I only love it with a bunch of milk and a bunch of sugar in it, right? Like just straight up coffee is disgusting. And if I stopped drinking coffee for a while, like when I was raw and I thought it was evil, and then I started drinking it again, like I had to get back into it, you know? It was pretty nasty at first. And I'm very particular about the coffee that I drink. A lot of coffees are very bitter to me. My partner's even worse. He doesn't drink coffee regularly, but he likes the kind that I drink. But most coffee he like cannot drink. But then of course the whole not really liking sweets as much and not really liking fat as much. Yeah, that ain't me. So yeah, I guess I am a super taster or kind of a super taster. Again, reading some of these reactions, it's like, whoa, I'm nowhere close to that. So maybe I'm just actually a medium taster. I'm just a little bitch. Who knows? I don't think any of it really matters. I just think it's kind of a fun thing to do. I'm going to go visit family and I'm taking this shit with me and I'm going to have them all taste it. It's going to be fun as hell. I'm going to give it to my little nieces. I'm going to give it to the damn dog. I'm not going to give it to the dog. It's a joke. Might give it to the cat, though. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. Subscribe, support the channel, patreon.com/unnaturalvegan, and I will have a new video maybe soon.